Hi, and welcome to Untethered with Jen Liss, the podcast that's here to help you free yourself from the crap that's holding you back so you can claim the life you're meant to live. I'm your host, Jen, and in this episode, we're going to talk about what the heck is a healing journey and how do I know if I'm on one? Let's dive in. Hi, friend, it's Jen. Welcome back to the podcast. My husband and I just today got back from a fabulous trip going to the East Coast of the US. We went to 5 baseball stadiums in 5 days with my nephew. It was such a magical and honestly exhausting experience. We ran around all over the place and had so much fun showing our nephew new experiences that he had never gotten to have before. And it's just something we personally are incredibly passionate about is travel and how travel helps to give you new experiences. It deeply increases your empathy for other people in the world, seeing how other people live, gaining an understanding for yourself if, oh my goodness, what if this is some way that I could live? Maybe this is something that I enjoy. It helps you just see so much for yourself. And so I'm curious for you podcast listeners, what is one place that really opened you up to new possibilities? Some place that you've been in the world, in your life that you were like, wow, this was a whole new experience. If you've got a place like that you experienced in your life, I would love to hear about it. You can share this episode, take a little screenshot and share the place that you've been, tag me, I will reshare it. I would absolutely love to hear what place in the world you've been that changed your perspective. We had the best time and I'm so ready to dive back in to work. And at the same time, just bask in having just had this amazing and magical experience of getting to go do all of these cool things. I hope you're getting to go somewhere cool this summer yourself. So today's episode is a Thursday thread. It's a Thursday thread. We are threading out a little nugget from the episode on Tuesday with Kaylin and Chrissy of the Heal Your Life with Us podcast. So Kaylin and Chrissy are really cool and interesting human beings. And one of the things that they talk so much about, quite obviously, is being on a healing journey. And I wanted to do a little thread on today's episode about healing journeys and what exactly does that mean? And I say this because when I first kind of realized, oh, I myself am on a healing journey, I had a lot of resistance to that phrase. To what exactly does that mean? Does that mean that something's wrong with me? Does that mean that I've been harmed in some way? I don't feel like I've been through any particular trauma. You think of healing as like wounds and just like big things. And of course, all of us have trauma. We all have things that we have been through. We all have wounds that are healing. And I think we could all admit to some of those things that we have going on. We could recognize, admit's not even the right word. We can recognize the things that we have in our lives that maybe have made us think a certain way or have harmed us in some potential way. And at the same time, I was incredibly resistant to that phrase. And it also just feels really big and ambiguous to me personally. So what the crap is a healing journey? And how do you tell if you're on one? I would love to just normalize just a little bit this experience, this phrasing, and talk about what exactly it is. So just basically, a healing journey is a physical, emotional, or spiritual like paradigm shift. You are going through something that is encouraging you, that is enabling you to accept your circumstances and to view yourself differently, to maybe invite a little bit more compassion into your life, to look at the life experience that you have had and meet them in a new way that is healing for you, that makes you feel more whole. It is truly, very simply put, a healing journey is a journey back to wholeness. Now, how does this happen that we become unwhole? Now, let's go back to the very beginning of when you were born, like your essence. You at your core, at your essence, in the beginning, from my belief, is that you are a sparkly ball of light. Like you are just this moment of magic. You are this energy that was formed in your mother's womb. You were formed, and before anything happened to you at all, any experiences that you might have absorbed while in the womb, while as a baby, while as a child, while as a teenager, as an adult, you were this beautiful, amazing, perfect ball of light. And can anyone say that a baby is born not perfect? Like we are perfect. It's perfection. And then as life goes on, we have experiences, we have things happen to us. We become separate from that beautiful, sparkly, amazing ball of light that we are. We start to believe that we're not. We start to feel unworthy. We have all of these experiences. Now, what I believe happens the most that really separates us from that wholeness, from that beautiful perfection, and has us believing that we aren't that beautiful perfection anymore, are little tiny decisions that we make that are out of alignment, out of integrity with that beautiful wholeness that we are. Little tiny decisions that we make that are not in alignment with our authentic truth. Now, if we go back, you are a perfect, amazing ball of just beautiful energy who was brought here with a mission. You have a mission to accomplish, and that mission, that is true. That is your truth. It is who you are, who you came to be. And as you make decisions, as you have societal conditioning, as people tell you how you should be living your life, as you grow up and you start to take on norms of your family, of society, of your culture, of relationships that you have, school, friendships, all of those expectations begin to be put on you. We start to see how we should, in quotation marks, be living our lives. Those are the things that we start to take on. And some of those things are not in alignment with our authentic truth, with who you are. Each of those things, again, that you take on that is not in alignment with who you are, it's like a paper cut. Cut, 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 cut. Every single little thing that you do that doesn't feel true to you, that doesn't feel aligned for you, that isn't part of your mission that you were here to do, that doesn't bring you joy, is like a tiny paper cut. And as our lives go on, we come to a point where we feel like we are bleeding out our life force. That light is no longer lit. It is just oozing out of us from all of these paper cuts. What a visual. What a visual. But this happens for some people earlier in life. They realize like, this is not good. This is not working for me. I need to align. It happens for other people much later in life. For a lot of people, it happens about 35 to 45. All of a sudden, we're like, oh my gosh, I feel so depleted. I feel like I'm not living a life that feels right for me. Something doesn't feel right. It's not feeling right. I'm bleeding out from all of these little tiny cuts that I have been experiencing. Like I am bleeding out from all of these tiny little things that I'm doing that are out of integrity with me. And that is when we get called to go along on a healing journey. Now, what's so interesting is that the solution to this problem is actually incredibly easy. And yet it's also so hard because of the society that we live in, because the solution is stop freaking cutting yourself. Stop doing things that are not integrous to the sparkly ball of light that you are. Stop doing things that are not bringing you personally joy, that are not supporting you in your personal mission. Stop cutting yourself. And when we stop cutting ourselves, just like you can imagine with a paper cut, 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 cut. If you stop rubbing that paper on your skin, the body heals itself pretty dang fast. It's miraculous what can happen when we stop doing that. So what we are really called to do on our healing journey is to return to who we are and what feels authentically, fully true to you personally. not to anyone else, not according to the societal expectations that have been put on you, not according to what your mom wanted you to do, or your dad, or your grandma, or your great grandma, great great great, all of those things that have been put on you because this is how you are supposed to behave. You start to realize these things don't feel right to me. And so then you are called to heal those wounds that you yourself have created by taking actions in according to other people's expectations. That is your healing journey. So how do you know that you have come to this point? Well, first of all, you're listening to this podcast. So either you just know me and like me, and so you're listening to this, or there's something that's calling on your heart that you somehow are on your healing journey, that there is something here for you that you are gaining from this podcast. You're probably somewhere along that journey. Now, whether you want to call it this or not is up to you, but you're probably on one. Like, let's just be fully honest. So some of the symptoms of these paper cuts that we have are feelings like guilt, shame, anger, blame, worry. All of these things happen to us because of little paper cuts that are being caused. All of these things happen to us because of those little tiny paper cuts. Those are the feelings that we have from the paper cuts. And most people, let's be honest, most people are walking around the earth feeling a lot of these feelings. And I say that definitely one of my big symptoms, one of the big recognitions for me is that, oh my gosh, guilt and worry are two of my top feelings. And I'm like, what was going on with this? I just started asking myself, what is going on? So if you are starting to notice that guilt, shame, anger, blame, some of these emotions are things that you are feeling the majority of the time, that recognition is actually sign number one that you're on your healing journey. You're on the way. You're already there. Like, the recognition is step one. If you're not recognizing those things, if you don't see that those are things that you're experiencing, you're not there yet. Like, you're not, it's not that you're not ready, but you're basically living like most other people in the world, just bouncing around and not doing things in accordance with yourself, or you are fully living a life totally in accordance with yourself, which is amazing. Some other signs that you might be kind of going along your healing journey are that you are valuing time alone. Maybe you're looking at other people in your life through a new lens and starting to see that maybe some of the relationships in your life aren't serving you in the best way. You might be taking steps along your journey. Other signs or symptoms that you're going along your journey, that you're starting to consider your own emotions. And maybe just maybe, you're okay with starting to feel those things. Other things, maybe you're willing to find your passion and start to follow your purpose. You're starting to ask those deep questions of yourself, and you're starting to take steps towards that. Maybe you're even ready to start saying no to things that don't feel aligned for you. So any of these things, if you're starting to experience those, you could consider yourself on a healing journey. You're along the way. So some essentials that you want to have in your toolbox on your healing journey are care and compassion for yourself at any given point, recognizing these paper cuts, noticing the things that have caused them, starting to notice that you yourself allowed those paper cuts to happen, and having compassion for the person who allowed that to happen, having compassion for the people on the other side who inflicted those, just noticing those things and having care and compassion for it. That is like, I am just convinced that compassion is one of the number one things that we all could have more of in our toolbox, and it never runs dry. Like, once you tap the faucet of compassion, it just keeps running and it just keeps clearing. It is one of the most clearing things. And also one of the things that our society doesn't do a lot of. So it feels really foreign. It actually feels really scary. It feels really wrong because we live so much of our lives in our ego state that beginning to have compassion for things feels like, oh, no, we want to go into victim mode. And so that is one of the biggest things that you really return to wholeness on in your healing journey is when you step out of that victim mode and recognize, oh, I'm allowing a lot of these cuts to happen. Now, I do want to take an aside and say that there are things in this world that are not anyone's fault. Some of the things that are set up in this society are not okay. And I fully recognize those things. What I'm talking about here are the things that we are allowing to happen to ourselves, and really beginning to heal allows us to see that we have so much more autonomy over these things than we realize that we have. We actually get to take our power back that we have given away. You've given it away. I've given it away. We've all given it away, and we get to take it back. Now, one of the things that it really requires for you to have in order to feel okay doing that is safety and trust. And you really gain that by surrounding yourself with other people who create safety for you, people who feel safe, people who you can trust, people who you can be open and honest with, who you can talk about these things with. And that is why I personally have gained so much out of coaching communities and coaching with someone who can hold that space for me, who can hold that space for others, and others in the community who can help you and support you through that, because it can feel incredibly scary to do this on your own. You can do it on your own, but it is harder. And so that's why I myself create scenarios of safety and trust as a coach. It's why lots of other coaches are out there doing it and creating that support for other people on their healing journeys. Another thing that it requires, essentials for you to have in your toolbox on your journey, is patience and practice. It takes practice. Cutting tethers takes practice and patience, because they come back. They come back when there have been patterns in our lives that are built into our lives. The relationships in our lives were built on these things. And so they're going to keep reforming, and you have to keep cutting them. And that is just a fact. Now, sometimes we can cut something and it doesn't come back. That does indeed happen. But most of the time, when you let go of something that you had been doing in your life, it will want to come back. And so you just have to keep cutting it. Another thing, another essential on your healing journey is more love. Loving yourself, loving others, just inviting more love into your life, which can also feel so scary. It's one of the scariest things. It's vulnerable. Vulnerability, Brené Brown says that vulnerability is one of the most difficult human emotions. In fact, joy is one of the most difficult things, because it is the most vulnerable human emotion is joy. So allowing yourself joy, because remember, you are a sparkly ball of light. You're meant to feel joy. If you're not feeling joy in your life, then you are not fully aligned. You are full of paper cuts. So it is time to allow yourself more love, loving yourself more, allowing more love from others, offering more of your love to others, so that you can bring yourself back into that state of wholeness, back into that state of joy. Now, how do we do this? How do we do this? So we've defined, here's what a healing journey is. Here are some of the symptoms that you might be ready for it, that you might already be along the way. And what are some of the essentials that you'll need along your healing journey? So what is the next step that you could possibly take yourself on this journey? Well, first of all, here's the big one. Admit that you're on one. Just admit it. Admit it. I am ready to heal. I am ready to return to wholeness. I am ready to return to, at the core, who I am in my soul, who I am in my heart, what I'm here to do. Now, this can be incredibly challenging. It really, I say this because I know this, it really can be, because we've been living our lives as a certain person. Everybody in our lives expects us to be this person. We ourselves expect ourselves. We have expectations of ourselves. We've tethered ourselves with expectations that we are going to show up in a certain way as a certain person. But remember, Those things that you are doing are causing paper cuts to the actual core of who you are and what you came here to do. You're not living up to your highest potential. You're not living up to the person who you are meant to be. And it's painful. It hurts. And your soul right now, if you're listening to this podcast, if you've gotten this far in this episode, your soul is saying it is time for you to stop cutting yourself, and it is time for you to heal. So admit to yourself that it's time. It is time to return to your soul's mission, to your core purpose, to what you came here to do, to your sparkly magic. Consider how that feels. How does that feel to you when you admit that to yourself? When you feel into that, notice the feelings. Take stock of exactly how that feels. Does it feel scary? Does it feel weird? Does it feel woo? Is it too much? Are you like, forget this? That's all okay. It's all okay. What I would invite you to do is to simply notice those feelings, to have compassion for whatever it is that you're feeling. Because one of the most powerful things that we can do on our healing journey is to simply meet ourselves exactly where we're at, judgment free. Remove the judgment from it and simply notice exactly where you are and allow it to be. The next thing that you can do is to consider who can support you. Again, maybe that is a community of like-minded people. Maybe it's working with a coach. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's all of the above. Who can support you? Who can you surround yourself with? Welcome the possibility of that. You don't even have to go out in search of it right now. Simply say, who might be there to support me? I am open to that possibility. I am open to the possibility of somebody coming into my life who can help me. When the student is ready, the teacher arrives. This is 100% true. So simply open yourself up to the possibility of support, of help along this journey. The next thing that you can do is to get curious about a practice that might support you. So that could be traditional therapy. That could be breath work. That could be grabbing a deck of tarot cards, getting some tarot cards and pulling a card for yourself each day. That could be other introspective tools. It could be reading books about this kind of stuff. It could be all of the above. What practice could support you? Start experimenting with that. Start getting curious about that. Start allowing yourself to experience some new things. So I hope that this has been helpful, diving in and talking about what exactly does it mean to be on a healing journey. I know that this can sound like some mega spiritual stuff. We can also just look at it incredibly practically. Like when you are acting in a way that is not in accordance with your personal, individual, unique integrity, it's going to hurt over time. It's going to cause all of these little things that feel like they're not aligned for you. And eventually you build a life for yourself that doesn't feel like you. You're like, what is going on that I suddenly feel like it's not okay? And one of the important things is to remember that the life that you built has been awesome. Like it's been great. Like all of the experiences that we have are the experiences that were meant for us to bring us to the point that we're at now. So that goes back to compassion. Just having compassion for all of the experiences that you've had that have brought you to the exact place that you're at today, and just accepting that because it's great. It's been awesome. Like, look at the amazing human being who you are. Look at who you've turned into. Look at the way that your parents have raised you and the way that all of the influences in your life have shaped you into this cool human. And if you don't feel like you're a cool human, then it's definitely time to start healing because you fully are. You, again, we're just going to go back to it. You are a sparkly ball of magic, light, and goodness. You started as this beautiful energy that formed into a being. At your core, you have a consciousness. That consciousness is beautiful. If you do breath work, if you do any other work that helps you to connect with that consciousness, you cannot deny that it is just love. It is pure love and light and beauty. And that's who you are at your core. So helping you to align this human experience with that core beauty, who you are, creates so many amazing possibilities for yourself. And that is what this podcast is here to help you do. So you can shine that magical unicorn light out there for everyone to see. So I hope you gained some really good stuff out of this episode, that you can recognize exactly where you're at on your healing journey and identify what is the next step that makes sense for you. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. If you enjoyed it, I encourage you to take a screenshot right now, share it on your social media feed. You can tag me on Instagram at untetheredjen. I will always reshare your posts when you share it. If you are ready to go deeper and to do this work yourself, to begin to meet yourself with care and compassion, to invite support into your life, to learn how to tap into your mind-body connection, your unique essence at your core, and to use it to move forward, to welcome more abundance, more clarity, more amazingness into your life, to step into that sparkly unicorn person who you are, my program Made for More might be for you. You can go and learn more about it at jenliss.com/madeformore. You just keep shining your magical unicorn light out there for all to see. I'll see you next time. Bye.